Kratos does not come to rule the world, but the world never survives his presence. There are battles that shake cities, there are battles that erase civilizations, and then there are battles that should never happen, because reality itself was never meant to endure them. This is one of those battles. Kratos has fought gods, titans, and beings that claimed dominion over fate itself. He has crossed realms forged by myth, sustained by belief and protected by prophecy. Every world he enters believes it understands power, until he arrives. Not as a conqueror, not as a savior, but as a consequence. And now, his path intersects with something fundamentally different. Not a god born from worship, not a titan shaped by chaos, but a curse, refined, intelligent, and merciless. Ryomen Sukuna. The king of curses does not rule through temples or followers. He rules through inevitability, through violence so precise and overwhelming that resistance becomes meaningless. Where Sukuna walks, humanity is not tested, it is exposed. Reduced to its most fragile state, stripped of hope, dignity, and illusion. Two forces, two interpretations of dominance. One world that cannot survive both. The moment Kratos steps into this reality, the air itself resists him. There is no summoning circle, no distortion in space, no ritual calling his name. He simply appears, heavy, grounded, absolute. As if the world was forced to accept him rather than invite him, the ground beneath his feet fractures slightly, not from impact, but from pressure. Reality bends to accommodate his presence, protesting silently as it does. Sukuna feels it immediately. Not fear, not shock, but recognition. This is not prey. This is not a sorcerer struggling against cursed energy, nor a spirit born from human weakness. This is something older, something forged through cycles of war, loss, and endurance so severe that even gods learn to fear it. Kratos does not speak. He never does at first. His silence is not hesitation, it is assessment. His eyes scan the broken skyline, the twisted remnants of buildings scarred by cursed techniques, the invisible weight of suffering soaked into the land. He does not need to understand the mechanics of curses to recognize cruelty. Pain, after all, does not require translation. Sukuna smiles, not widely, not eagerly. It is a measured smile, the kind reserved for rare moments when boredom finally gives way to interest. "So," Sukuna says calmly, his presence warping the space around him, "you don't belong to this world." Kratos offers no reply, because replies invite dialogue, and Kratos does not come to debate. The tension between them is not explosive, it is oppressive. Like the moment before a structure collapses, when everything holds still under unbearable weight. Cursed energy coils around Sukuna like a living organism, responding to his intent, asserting his dominance over the environment. In any other circumstance, this alone would be enough to end the confrontation. But Kratos does not retreat. He takes a single step forward. The ground splits beneath him, not violently, not dramatically. It simply yields. The cursed energy surrounding Sukuna flickers, destabilized not by force, but by contradiction. Kratos does not project power outward the way Sukuna does. He absorbs space. He compresses the world around him. Gravity itself seems to lean in his favor. For the first time, Sukuna's expression tightens. Something is wrong. Curses are born from human negativity. They feed on fear, hatred, despair. Sukuna stands at the apex of that system, a predator perfectly evolved to dominate it. But Kratos does not exist within that ecosystem. He does not fear. He does not hate blindly. He does not revel in despair. He endures, and endurance is poison to curses. Testing the anomaly, Sukuna attacks first, not out of necessity, but curiosity. A casual slash of cursed energy tears through the air, sharp enough to carve through steel, refined enough to annihilate sorcerers in an instant. Kratos does not evade. The attack strikes him directly and stops, not deflected, not resisted, stopped. The cursed energy disperses across Kratos' body like water against stone. No explosion follows, no counterattack, just negation, as if the world itself refuses to allow that power to define him. Silence falls, Even the cursed energy hesitates. For the first time in centuries, Sukuna experiences something unfamiliar: uncertainty. He narrows his eyes, reassessing. Cursed techniques obey rules. Domains impose order. Power in this world exists within structures, hierarchies that Sukuna himself dominates. Kratos exists outside of all of them. He is not bound by contracts, not limited by domains, not restrained by metaphysical laws native to this reality. He is an intruder, and intruders break systems simply by existing. Kratos finally speaks, not loudly, not angrily. A warning. "This world is already broken," he says. "You will not use it again." Sukuna laughs, sharp, unrestrained, genuine. "Broken?" he replies. "This world is honest. It strips humans of their illusions and shows them what they truly are." Kratos tightens his grip around his weapon. "I have heard that lie before." In that moment, inevitability sets in. This is not a battle of cursed techniques versus brute strength, not magic versus muscle. This is a collision of philosophies. Sukuna believes suffering reveals truth. Kratos knows suffering only multiplies itself. Sukuna sees destruction as art. Kratos sees it as failure, a debt that never stops collecting interest. The world beneath them begins to tremble, not because of what they have done again, but because of what they are about to do. If Sukuna unveils his domain, reality itself will be rewritten through cruelty. And if Kratos releases his full wrath, there may be nothing left to rewrite. Two monsters, no curses, no mercy, only consequence, and this is only the beginning. If you want to see how this clash truly unfolds, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below who you believe truly understands power: the King of Curses, or the god who outlived his own mythology. Because the next encounter will not be symbolic, it will be personal. The first exchange does not decide the battle, it defines it. Sukuna now understands what stands before him is not bound by the logic of this world. Kratos is not a sorcerer with limitations, nor a spirit sustained by belief. He does not draw power from emotion, technique, or structure. He is something that persists after systems collapse, and that makes him dangerous. The cursed energy around Sukuna thickens, saturating the air until breathing itself feels invasive. The space bends subtly, like a canvas stretched too far. This is not intimidation, it is preparation. Sukuna does not rush opponents he cannot immediately define, he dissects them. Kratos remains still. His stance is relaxed but not passive. Every scar across his body is a memory of restraint learned too late. He has seen what happens when power is unleashed without purpose. He does not strike first unless the world leaves him no choice. Sukuna circles him slowly, bare feet touching the fractured ground as if gravity answers only to his whim. His eyes study Kratos with surgical focus. Muscles, posture, breathing. Nothing about this warrior is inefficient. Nothing is wasted. "Interesting," Sukuna says, his voice calm but layered with intent. "You don't fight like someone seeking victory." Kratos does not respond. "You fight like someone preventing something worse." That earns Sukuna's attention, because that is not how this world works. In Sukuna's reality, power is exercised, not restrained. Dominance is proven through excess. To hold back is weakness. To hesitate is death. And yet, the being before him stands unchallenged by cursed energy that would annihilate entire districts. Sukuna stops moving. The moment stretches. Then the ground fractures outward in a perfect circle. Sukuna releases his domain. There is no barrier rising, no walls forming, no visual spectacle announcing its presence. The world simply changes. Space folds inward, reality sharpening like a blade honed for execution. Malevolent shrine, an open domain, a declaration of absolute authority without confinement. Everything within range is subject to Sukuna's will. Buildings are sliced apart with surgical precision. Streets are carved open as invisible slashes rain down indiscriminately. The environment itself becomes a weapon, obeying rules written by cruelty. This is not an attack meant to kill. It is an execution meant to demonstrate inevitability. Kratos stands at the center of it. The first slash strikes his shoulder. It cuts, not deeply, but enough. Blood touches the ground. For the first time, the world sees that Kratos can be wounded. Sukuna smiles, because now the battle has rules. But the smile fades when the second slash lands and does less damage than the first, and the third does less than the second. Kratos adapts, not consciously, not strategically. His body remembers survival beyond logic, beyond technique. The domain continues its relentless assault, but each strike loses intent. The cursed energy disperses faster. The cuts become shallow, inconsistent. Kratos steps forward, inside the domain, inside Sukuna's absolute authority. The ground beneath him is being dismantled piece by piece, yet he advances through it as if wading against a storm. His skin bears fresh wounds, but his expression does not change. Pain is familiar territory. It does not dictate his actions. Sukuna narrows his eyes. This should not be possible. Domains are laws made manifest. They do not test opponents. They overwrite them. And yet Kratos is not resisting the domain. He is enduring it. And endurance does not break rules, it outlasts them. Kratos reaches Sukuna. The moment he does, the pressure shifts. For the first time, Sukuna feels it. True weight. Not physical mass, but consequence. Every life Kratos has ended, every world he has scarred, every restraint he has imposed upon himself, presses into the space between them. Sukuna strikes. A direct blow, reinforced by cursed energy dense enough to erase cities. Kratos blocks it with his forearm. The impact sends shockwaves tearing outward, leveling what remains of the surroundings. The domain flickers, not collapses, but falters. Sukuna recoils slightly, more from disbelief than damage. "You're not rejecting my domain," he says quietly. "You're surviving it." Kratos answers with action. His counterstrike is not elegant, not refined. It is a brutal, efficient motion born of wars that did not care for form. His fist connects with Sukuna's torso. The sound is not explosive, it is final. Sukuna is sent through multiple structures, carving a path of destruction before stabilizing himself mid-air. His expression is no longer amused. It is focused, sharp. Now he understands. Kratos is not stronger within this domain. The domain is weaker around Kratos, because it feeds on control. And Kratos does not submit to control. The cursed techniques resume, but less confidently. The space feels unstable, as if the domain itself is questioning its authority. Sukuna lands, blood trailing from his mouth, a rare sight. "This world," Sukuna says, wiping it away, "was built to break humans." Kratos advances again. "And I was built to endure gods." Their next clash is relentless. No speeches, no pauses, only impact after impact. Sukuna unleashes refined techniques with surgical brutality. Slashes bend, angles distort, attacks come from directions that should not exist. Kratos absorbs them, redirects them, pushes through them. His movements grow heavier, more deliberate. Each step he takes inside the domain destabilizes it further, not because he is overpowering Sukuna, but because he refuses to be defined by him. The realization strikes Sukuna like a blade. This is not a battle he can dominate through superiority alone. This is a war of attrition, and for the first time, Sukuna questions whether the King of Curses understands endurance as deeply as the ghost of Sparta. The domain trembles again, not from damage, from doubt. And doubt is lethal, because if Sukuna cannot impose meaning on this battle, then Kratos will. The domain does not collapse, it persists, but it is no longer absolute. Malevolent Shrine continues to carve the world apart, yet its authority feels strained, like a structure forced to support a weight it was never designed to bear. Every strike still carries lethal intent, but that intent no longer feels unquestionable. Sukuna senses it, not weakness, resistance, and resistance, when it does not break, becomes defiance. Kratos stands amid the ruin, his body marked by countless wounds that refuse to slow him. Blood runs freely now, dark against fractured stone, but his posture remains unchanged. He does not stagger, he does not gasp, he does not rage, he endures. This is where Sukuna excels, not in raw destruction, but in psychological dominance. He understands suffering not merely as pain, but as revelation. To him, agony strips away lies. It exposes truth. It reveals what a being truly is, when comfort, hope, and illusion are removed. And so he changes tactics. The slashes lessen. The pressure eases. The domain quiets just enough to feel intentional. "Tell me," Sukuna says, his voice echoing unnaturally through the warped space, "how many worlds have you destroyed?" Kratos does not answer. "How many lives have you ended in the name of justice, in the name of necessity?" Sukuna continues, walking calmly through the chaos, unbothered by the collapsing environment. "Do you still count them? Or did you stop when the numbers became meaningless?" Kratos' jaw tightens. Sukuna notices. "Good. You and I are not opposites," Sukuna says. "We are honest. We don't pretend violence is a tragedy. We accept it as truth." Kratos finally turns to face him fully. "No," he says, "you worship it. The difference is subtle but absolute." Sukuna laughs softly. "And you don't?" Kratos does not respond immediately, because the question deserves weight. "I have been what you are," he says at last, "and it cost me everything." The domain pulses. Sukuna tilts his head, intrigued. This is not defiance. This is not denial. This is something far rarer, regret. "You speak as if suffering is a mistake," Sukuna replies. "But suffering is the only constant across all worlds. It creates curses. It creates monsters. Death creates meaning." Kratos steps forward again, each movement deliberate, heavy with intent. "Suffering creates nothing," he says. "It only reveals what already exists." That answer unsettles Sukuna more than any blow. Because if that is true, then his entire existence is not a truth but a symptom. Sukuna strikes again, not with cursed slashes, but with presence. His cursed energy surges inward, compressing space around Kratos, attempting to crush him under the weight of domination. This is not an attack meant to kill, it is meant to force submission. Kratos' knees bend slightly. The ground gives way beneath him. For a moment, it seems Sukuna has found the answer. Then Kratos pushes back, not explosively, not dramatically. He straightens, and the pressure breaks. The cursed energy recoils, snapping outward violently as if rejected by something immovable. The domain shudders again, cracks forming not in the environment, but in its consistency. Sukuna's expression hardens. "You carry guilt like a weapon," he says, "but guilt does not absolve you." "I do not seek absolution," Kratos replies. "I seek restraint." That word lingers. Restraint is alien to Sukuna's worldview. In his reality, power unexercised is wasted. Mercy is hypocrisy. Control is supremacy. To restrain oneself when capable of domination is to deny one's nature. And yet, Kratos stands as proof that restraint does not equal weakness. It equals responsibility. The next exchange is brutal. Sukuna unleashes everything short of annihilation, layered techniques, compounded strikes, cursed energy refined to its purest edge. Kratos responds not with finesse, but with inevitability. Every blow he delivers carries consequence. Every strike forces Sukuna to react, to adjust, to adapt. This is no longer a spectacle. It is a war of philosophies. Sukuna moves faster now, more aggressively. He is pushing, testing, trying to find the point where Kratos breaks, because everything breaks eventually. But Kratos does not break. He remembers. He remembers villages burned in rage. He remembers gods who begged only after it was too late. He remembers the silence that followed victory and the emptiness that came with it. Those memories do not weaken him. They anchor him. Sukuna finally lands a decisive blow, tearing through Kratos' side with enough force to drop him to one knee. The domain surges in response, sensing advantage. The world seems to lean toward Sukuna again. He approaches slowly. "Look at you," Sukuna says, voice low. Still standing. Still pretending this restraint matters. Kratos lifts his head. His eyes are not filled with hatred. They are filled with certainty. "Shall you mistake restraint for mercy?" he says. "They are not the same." Sukuna pauses. Kratos rises, and for the first time, He releases a fraction of what he has been holding back. The air grows heavier, the domain stutters, the ground fractures outward in uncontrolled patterns. This is not rage, this is resolve. Sukuna steps back instinctively, not because he is afraid, but because he recognizes escalation. Kratos advances, each step causing the domain to lose cohesion. The cursed techniques fire wildly now, no longer precise, no longer confident. The environment feels unstable, as if reality itself is choosing which authority to obey. This world taught you to break, Kratos says. Mine taught me what breaking costs. Their final clash in the domain is thunderous. Blow after blow lands with increasing force. Sukuna counters with ferocity, but something has changed. His attacks feel reactive now, defensive. He is no longer dictating the flow of battle. Kratos is. The domain cracks again, not metaphorically, literally. The rules holding it together fracture under the weight of contradiction. An authority that cannot dominate, cannot sustain itself. Sukuna leaps back as the space around them destabilizes. He smiles once more, but this time it is sharp, dangerous. Very well, he says. If you won't break. The domain begins to collapse inward. Then let's see what you become when restraint is no longer an option. The world screams as malevolent shrine dissolves, and both warriors are thrown back into open reality. Breathing, bleeding, unfinished. The true battle has not ended. It has only shed its illusions. The collapse of the domain does not bring relief. It brings clarity. With malevolent shrine gone, the world reasserts itself. Broken streets, shattered buildings, a skyline scarred by cursed energy and divine force alike. The air feels raw, stripped of metaphysical authority. There are no rules now, no systems enforcing dominance, only two beings standing amid the consequences of their existence. Kratos rises first. His breathing is heavy, not from exhaustion, but from control. His body bears the cost of endurance, torn flesh, fractured armor, blood running freely, yet his stance remains firm, grounded, immovable. He has crossed this threshold before. The moment when restraint begins to crack. Sukuna stands across from him, posture relaxed, but his presence has changed. Without the domain, his cursed energy no longer blankets reality. It coils tighter now, denser, more focused. Refined not for domination, but for execution. So, Sukuna says, voice calm, almost conversational, this is who you are without rules. Kratos does not answer, because there is nothing left to explain. The next clash is immediate. Sukuna moves first, faster than before, his strikes no longer ornamental or experimental. Each attack is precise, aimed not to overwhelm, but to dismantle. Cursed techniques snap into existence mid-motion, bending space, striking from impossible angles. Kratos meets him head-on. No defense, no retreat. Their collision sends shockwaves through the ruins, leveling what little structure remains. Each impact feels final, heavy with intent. This is not a test. This is not escalation. This is commitment. Kratos' strikes land with devastating force, each blow a culmination of wars fought across lifetimes. Sukuna absorbs them with brutal efficiency, countering instantly, adapting with terrifying speed. His smile is gone now, replaced by focus sharpened to a blade's edge. You could end this, Sukuna says between strikes. I feel it. You're choosing not to. Kratos grips his weapon tighter. I am choosing when. That answer lands heavier than any blow, because Sukuna understands exactly what it means. To hold back not because you must, but because you fear what happens when you don't. Sukuna laughs, sharp and cutting. Then let me free you from that burden. His cursed energy surges violently, no longer constrained by refinement. It floods the space around them, raw and destructive. This is not a domain, this is Sukuna unleashed. He strikes Kratos with everything he has. Not technique, not structure, but pure annihilation. The impact drives Kratos into the ground, carving a crater deep enough to swallow buildings. The world seems to pause, waiting for something to give. Kratos pushes himself up, slowly, deliberately. The moment stretches. And then something changes. The air grows heavier. The ground fractures outward. The space around Kratos distorts, as if reality itself is bracing. This is not rage, it is acceptance. Kratos straightens fully, and restraint breaks, not explosively, not theatrically, but absolutely. The force that radiates from him is not cursed, not divine, not magical. It is consequence given form. Every step he takes now feels final, each movement unburdened by hesitation. Sukuna feels it instantly, not fear, recognition. This, Sukuna says quietly, is what you've been hiding. Kratos advances. The next exchange is devastating. Sukuna attacks with relentless ferocity, but for the first time, his strikes are being driven back. Kratos' blows land with overwhelming certainty, forcing Sukuna into defense rather than dominance. Each hit carries intent beyond pain. It carries judgment. The environment disintegrates around them. Buildings collapse, streets fracture. The sky itself seems to recoil. Sukuna is driven back step by step, his cursed energy flaring violently as he struggles to reassert control. This is not a loss of power. It is a loss of momentum. Kratos is no longer reacting, he is advancing. "You think this makes you better?" Sukuna snarls, deflecting another crushing strike. "You think restraint redeems you?" Kratos does not slow. "I know it does not," he replies. "That is why I choose it." He strikes again, harder. Sukuna is sent crashing through what remains of the skyline, stabilizing himself only at the last moment. Blood drips freely now, staining the ruins. His expression is no longer composed. This battle has crossed a line. Sukuna rises, cursed energy surging violently around him. His form feels sharper, more dangerous, stripped of arrogance. This is no longer a king entertaining himself. This is a predator, fighting for relevance. "Then end me," Sukuna challenges. "Prove that your restraint was always a lie." Kratos stands motionless. For a moment, the world holds its breath. And in that moment, Kratos remembers. He remembers a family lost to rage. He remembers victories that tasted like ash. He remembers silence after slaughter, and the cost it demanded. He does not want another world to carry that weight. Kratos moves, but not to kill. He closes the distance in an instant, striking Sukuna with a force that transcends technique. The blow does not seek annihilation. It seeks finality. Sukuna is driven into the ground, pinned by sheer inevitability. The cursed energy around him flickers wildly, struggling to respond. For the first time, Sukuna is not smiling, not speaking, not dominant, just held. Kratos stands over him. "This ends," he says. Sukuna looks up, bloodied and defiant, and laughs softly. "No," he replies, "it changes." And in that laughter, Kratos understands. Killing Sukuna would not end the curse, it would feed it. Kratos steps back. The weight lifts. Sukuna remains on the ground, breathing heavily, his power restrained not by force, but by realization. The battle has reached its apex, not through death, but through decision. Two monsters, one chooses consequence, the other is forced to confront it. The silence that follows is heavier than any impact, because both now understand what comes next. The battle does not end with an explosion. It ends with silence. The ruins stretch endlessly in every direction. Broken streets, collapsed structures, the remnants of a world that was forced to witness something it was never meant to endure. Dust hangs in the air like a memory that refuses to settle. Sukuna remains where he fell, not defeated, not destroyed, contained. For the first time in his existence, the King of Curses is not asserting dominance. His cursed energy coils inward, restrained not by chains or techniques, but by awareness. He has tasted something beyond suffering, consequence. Kratos stands a short distance away, his posture calm but heavy. The battle has taken its toll. Blood stains his armor. His skin bears the cost of endurance, and his breathing is deep and controlled. This is not exhaustion. It is restraint reasserted. He could end this. With a single decision, Sukuna's existence could be erased. Another monster silenced, another threat removed from the equation of suffering. It would be easy, familiar. And that familiarity is precisely why Kratos does not act, because he knows what follows. Victory does not end cycles, it resets them. Sukuna slowly rises to one knee, then steadies himself. His expression is no longer mocking, no longer amused. It is thoughtful, something far more dangerous. A being that understands the nature of its opposition does not disappear, it adapts. "You won't kill me," Sukuna says, not as a question, but as an observation. Kratos does not deny it. "Killing you would change nothing," he replies. "Another curse would rise, another world would bleed." Sukuna laughs quietly, a sound stripped of arrogance. "Then you understand it too. Suffering does not end, it only shifts." Kratos turns away. It ends where restraint begins. Those words hang in the air. Sukuna watches him, eyes narrowing not in anger but curiosity. This outcome defies his nature. Power that chooses not to dominate, strength that refuses to indulge itself. In Sukuna's worldview, such restraint is weakness, but weakness does not leave him standing. Kratos walks away, not triumphantly, not proudly, deliberately. Each step carries the weight of a choice reaffirmed. The world does not heal in his wake. The damage remains. The scars persist. Kratos has never pretended otherwise. He does not fix worlds. He leaves them with the chance to survive themselves. Behind him, Sukuna remains, alive, dangerous, but altered. The encounter has stripped something from him that cannot be reclaimed easily, the certainty that suffering alone defines truth. For the first time, the King of Curses has encountered something that suffering could not corrupt, endurance with purpose. The world breathes again, slowly, not because it is safe, but because it has been spared annihilation. As Kratos reaches the edge of the ruins, the air around him begins to shift. The subtle distortion of reality returns, not violently, not urgently. The same quiet phenomenon that accompanied his arrival, another world calling, another consequence waiting to unfold. Kratos pauses. He looks back once, not at Sukuna, but at the devastation left behind. He does not flinch. He does not mourn. He acknowledges it. This is the cost of gods colliding. This is the price of power without mercy. And this time, the world survives, not because it was strong enough, but because someone stronger chose not to finish the job. Kratos steps forward, and reality parts for him. When the distortion closes, the ruins remain, silent witnesses to a battle that will become myth, then warning, then forgotten history. Sukuna stands alone in that silence, his presence heavy with unresolved consequence. For the first time, the curse does not feel victorious. It feels challenged. Somewhere beyond this world, Kratos walks on, not as a savior, not as a ruler, but as a constant reminder that power is not measured by how much it destroys, but by how much it refuses to. Because Kratos does not arrive to dominate the world, but the world never survives his presence unchanged. And somewhere, in another reality, another universe, another myth begins to fracture, not because Kratos seeks conflict, but because conflict cannot ignore him. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the Kratos Effect, and comment below which universe or character should face the consequences of Kratos' presence next. Your ideas shape the next fracture in reality.